Palermo, Sicily. In this port city, a titan in the world of the shipbuilding industry is changing the face of the cruise business. Here at one of the biggest dry docks in the Mediterranean, cruise ships are literally put under the knife. Some of the biggest vessels on the sea are cut in half and lengthened with an entirely new section, undergoing a new and complex process called jumboization. Palermo, Sicily, buzzes with the intoxicating mix of cultures that is a result of its domination by the Greek, Roman, Arab and Spanish civilizations over the last 3,000 years. Famous for the influence of mafia gangsters, it's also heralded across the globe for its beautiful beaches, breathtaking scenery and complex history. Palermo is not only a well-visited location for tourists, it is a major Italian trading port. Dawn rises at the construction site where Fincantieri engineers and ship experts are hard at work, moving tens of thousands of metric tons with near-laser precision.
We're cutting a ship that's 28 meters wide with a height of 50 meters from the bottom to deck 11 with a tolerance of just a few millimeters.
Overall, the Fagioli skid shoe system has raised 15,000 metric tons.
After the enlargement of the ship, she will have an added capacity of about 500 passengers.
Making even bigger ships is big business. This construction site is owned and operated by Fincantieri, which builds some of the largest ships across the globe. Fincantieri is in the business of constructing cruise ships, barges and military vessels. Here in Palermo, the company has pioneered a ship recycling program to meet demand for bigger and bigger vessels for the lucrative cruise industry. In the process, they have created a thriving new market for upgraded ships. The Renaissance program is a massive engineering project. The lengthening of 4 ships for Mediterranean Shipping Company, MSC. Each of these 4 ships, the MSC Armonia, Sinfonia, Opera and Lyrica, are undergoing the jumboization process, due to be completed by the end of 2015.
The repairs and enlargement division that does what you can see behind me is just one of the divisions of Fincantieri.
The shipyards here in Palermo have got the technique down to a fine art. The tools used to lengthen a ship, once cut in half, are massive movers. Skid shoes are like a hydraulic train that moves along steel rails on which the carriages are pushed horizontally by hydraulic levers acting on the sleepers. The skid shoe system is computer-controlled and powered by diesel fuel packs. Each unit has the capacity to lift more than 1,000 metric tons. These particular skid shoes are a brand new design by the Fagioli engineering department. Before the jumboization process in the Palermo docks, Fagioli delivered into the yard no less than 22 skid shoes and built 3 rails to hold the wide hull of the cruise liner as it was being cut in 2. The weight of the front half of the ship is supported by vertical cylinders, and each skid shoe is able to support 1,000 tons. Getting the ship resting on skid shoes, however, involved a lengthy preparatory process. First, the dry dock had to be emptied using massive pumps. The operation took a whole day. Once the dry dock was empty, the skid shoes on which the ship's hull would rest and then be pulled apart, once sliced through, had to be positioned at the bottom of the dock and the electrical parts removed before the dock was flooded. The amazing process of jumboization starts with the creation of the new segment of the ship that has to be positioned in such a way that on the big day, the whole process goes according to plan. In May 2015, the Fincantieri yards successfully floated a new segment that was to be used to lengthen the MSC cruise liner Opera. The new segment, specially built to lengthen the ship, was first ceremonially floated, proving that it would contribute to the buoyancy of the lengthened ship, and then positioned in the dock where the massive Opera was to rest for the time of its complex, high-tech lengthening surgery. Filippo Oddo is the Fincantieri yard director and has been working on the jumboization of ships in Palermo, Sicily for decades.
This dry dock has a capacity of 400,000 cubic meters. It's one of the biggest in the Mediterranean Sea. To give you an idea, its surface is 4 football pitches in length. It allows us to do this process that we're doing because it is wide enough, as I've said before, to allow the new section to be moved next to the ship. If it were narrower, we could not do this. This is the reason why we used this dock in the past as well, for this kind of operation.
Once all was ready, the dock could be filled again, slowly so as not to move the skid shoes. As soon as the dock was full, the massive cruise ship could be sailed in. It was carefully positioned over the skid shoes, and the dry dock was emptied once more. The ship and the new segment slowly sank to the bottom of the dock, and the ship rested snugly on the skid shoes that would become its operating table.
The first thing we did in the dock before the ship arrived at the dry dock was to put the skid shoes in place. That's before the ship arrived. At that point, the dock was flooded, so the skid shoes were submerged underwater. Thanks to this, the ship could be sailed into the dock and positioned onto the skid shoes as the dock was emptied. At this point, once it was settled, the dock was completely emptied of water until dry.
This is an operation that has been done many times in these yards, a speciality developed here since the 1980s.
The Palermo yards has a lot of experience. The first enlargement process was done in 1980 to lengthen the Ville d'Anvers, and over the years we have done several others. This enlargement process of the MSC Opera is the 27th operation in this series. The next will be applied to the last of the 4 MSC ships in the Renaissance program with the MSC Lyrica. It will close the cycle of the enlargement of MSC ships.
The MSC Opera is 251.25 meters long and 28.8 meters wide, and when fully operational, hosts 2,199 passengers, offering 878 cabins and suites, luxury bars, a theatre, a casino, shops, and many other attractions. With a new segment slotted into the middle, the capacity will increase to 2,700 passengers, which means that the ship will have to carry more food and offer yet more services. It is just one of the hundreds of massive cruise ships that grace the ocean waves, offering vacations to a market of 22.2 million people, with a turnover of $39.6 billion. It is a growing tourism segment, but not without its own safety issues. On the 13th of January 2012, the giant cruise ship Costa Concordia crashed into the rocks off the island of Giglio in the Tuscan archipelago, leading not only to the world's largest ever ship salvage operation, but also to criminal and civil trials in which the safety of these mega ships was questioned. American lawyer John Eves was one of the most outspoken critics of the cruise industry.
You know, this industry has continued to just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Costa Concordia is not even the largest ship. The largest ship is a 6,000 passenger vessel. The problem here is that these ships are top heavy. They do this for profit because they know that they can sell a balcony space for much more than they can sell space under or below the waterline.
However, Fincantieri shipbuilders say tests on the structural integrity of the ships they have stretched prove that these ships are not weakened by jumboization.
Safety is not an issue in ship lengthening. The lengthened ship has to satisfy strength criteria and resistance to stresses that it will encounter during its life at sea, exactly like any other ship. So from the resistance point of view, it makes no difference whether this is a lengthened ship or a ship originally built with these dimensions.
Che questa sia una nave allungata o sia una nave appena costruita di questa lunghezza non c'è alcuna differenza.
Fincantieri has just delivered one of the 10 largest cruise ships in the world to its clients, Princess Cruises. The Regal Princess and other massive liners regularly come off the production line at these types of shipyards around Italy, from Trieste to Palermo.
If you were to compare the construction work we do here at the Palermo site with the construction of new ships, the first thing you would notice is the timing. To construct a new ship, from the very beginning to when it's ready to take to the sea with passengers, would take at least 2.5 years. Here we estimate, even when taking into consideration the work of engineers, that we can finish the ship in 9 months.
All'inizio si esaurisce in 9 mesi.
The jumboization process cuts down on costs, resources, and the years of labor that it would take to build new cruise ships. The current series of 4 cruise ships that Fincantieri is working on will cost €200 million when complete. That's just a fraction of the cost of building a single new cruise ship like the Regal Princess, which carries a price tag of up to €1 billion.